Tires, start your engines!
Tuning up your work week. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse and brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Now, please welcome your show hosts. One's a spottin' and one's a grinnin'. Here's Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
He's spotting, I'm grinning. Welcome to Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. After the races at Michigan and at Texas this past weekend, a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up on. But Kevin Harvick finishes second, and that means it is Bloomin' Monday.
From special assignment.
That's right.
There
Glad
he is.
to have little Joey back in the house.
Little Joey's in the house, and you get a free Bloomin' Onion today.
And since Father's Day is coming up, guess what else they've got? A Father's Day deal. If you buy $50 in gift cards for Dad, you get $10 for yourself.
That's pretty good.
Plus, they've got a steak and beer made for Dad special as well this week. So go on by Outback Steakhouse, tell them you heard about it on Motorsports Monday, and insist on that free Bloomin' Onion if it's Monday.
How can you go wrong?
You can't. You really can't.
Yeah, you can't go away hungry.
No, you won't go away hungry if you go to Outback, that's for sure.
If you do, you already ate. You already ate, evidently.
All right, so Kevin Harvick finishes second, but that's because his teammate, Clint Bowyer, was able to hold him off, play the radar strategy, if you will, and get out front when he needed to be. The rains came, Bowyer was out front, and he gets his second win of the season.
Yeah, Clint wasn't too happy with the decision on the two tires when he realized he was the only car out there. And what happened is you have a tire strategy, and we're going to talk about it later on in On Track, Off Track, but that's a crew chief's dream to be able to make these calls and pick up spots on pit road a whole lot easier than you can actually do on the track.
Yeah.
But when Clint left pit road after the end of the second stage and saw he was the only car out there on two tires and all those guys were going to gang up on him behind on four, that he was really worried. And unfortunately, the rain came very soon. It's a game that we play. We're looking at radar. We have a lot of technology, a lot of really cool apps looking at rain. But the rain was coming from the west, and it started raining on the east side of the racetrack. Like,
how did that happen?
Where did this come from? And we hear weathermen say it all the time. It's not the rain you can see, it's the rain you can't.
When it's just forming ahead of the front.
And exactly right. And guys give me grief about when I say it, but it's actually a clouding condition where the clouds are so low, it creates so much moisture. It's actually raining, but there's nothing on radar because it's not really precipitation. It's just 100% humidity right there at the racetrack, and it was enough to wet everything and allowed Clint Bowyer to take home his second win of the year.
I heard his crew chief, Mike Bugaravich, say later that when he made that call and nobody else did, he was worried. He goes, am I seeing something that nobody else is seeing here? But it wound up paying off, and they get their second victory of the season. Here's what Clint had to say after the race.
You know, you get this opportunity, you're thinking, boy, we got him. I'm back on the map. And it just didn't happen. Mike and I didn't have that communication down. Our cars weren't really good all the way through. The 4-car was good, hit and miss here and there. But collectively, all 4 cars weren't that good. Zipadelli and Brett made some personnel, change people around and put those pieces of the puzzle together differently this year. Going into this season, and I mean it's go cat go. Literally, being with the manufacturer of Ford, being with Roush Yates engines and that horsepower under the hood, it's just a deadly combination. And then you get to race against teammates like Kurt Busch, like Kevin Harvick, and to be back, and the communication side of it, the competition meetings and things like that, the things you talk about now, we're all talking the same language. It's not, I'm loose this week. Well, I don't know. I was kind of tight this week. It's everybody's fighting the same things, and we collectively across the board with all 4 cars are having those same conversations and getting better and better and better every single week with Stewart-Haas, and it showed. 1, 2, 3 was awesome. Damn it! Those guys right there they're a lot of fun. This whole team, you said it. God, that sucked. I'm going to be a sticky SOB right now.
One of the most impressive things of the whole thing, even though Mike, the crew chief, wasn't in the video, was you actually pronounced his last name correctly.
Booger Ravitch.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Most guys just call him Booger because it's so difficult. That's a lot of vowels and consonants to put together.
Shorten it up a little bit to make it a little bit easier. But how about that? They already had the celebration at Victory Lane. Then they come back in and dump it all over Clint again at the podium there in the media center afterwards. That's really cool.
I'm very good friends with the tire guy, Russell Simpson. We were at DEI and numerous teams throughout the year. I text him. It's why we race was for those feelings yesterday. Yeah,
absolutely it was. And don't forget now, you can get Clint Boyer's winning die-cast car from the victory at Michigan, as well as all the race winners and other die-casts at planbsales.com. Visit them. They've got a great line of products there. Every winner they'll have, you can check them out there, planbsales.com, to get your die-cast. We've got a big show coming up for you on Motorsports Monday. On Track, Off Track is next. You won't believe what made Joey mad. Little Joey is here. Head to Outback, get that free bloomin' onion. We're going to talk about some racing coming up at Iowa for the Truck and Xfinity Series, and we'll talk this week's past truck race at Texas, plus that new aero package they used again at Michigan on the Xfinity side. It's all ahead on Motorsports Monday. Stay with us.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse.
Midsummer Racing returns to Chicagoland Speedway. Get ready to fly your Speed Freak flag at Stars and Stripes NASCAR Weekend, June 28th through July 1st. Tickets for Sunday's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Overton's 400 are available now. And don't forget to get your camping spot before they sell out. Celebrate Stars and Stripes NASCAR Weekend, June 28th through July 1st. Get tickets now at ChicagolandSpeedway.com.
Kyle Petty here. My friends at Click & Close, the official mortgage provider of NASCAR, have stepped up this year to support Victory Junction through the fastest lap of the race program on NASCAR radio. So join our team. Go to clickandclose.com/NASCAR today to donate $43 or more and help us give the gift of camp to children with serious medical conditions. That's clickandclose.com/NASCAR, and just look for the Victory Junction logo. Thanks to Click & Close and NASCAR Radio for their support this season.
I'm Kevin Harvick, and it's another Bloomin' Monday. Ask for your free Bloomin' Onion tonight at Outback Steakhouse. Now it's back to Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
MRN Motorsports Monday presented by Outback Steakhouse. It's a Bloomin' Monday if you're watching us on Monday afternoon. As Kevin Harvick got another top 10 finish, that means free Bloomin' Onion at Outback Steakhouse. A lot of cool Father's Day specials coming up this week. Check out their website, outback.com, to find out a little bit more there. All right, let's talk some on-track, off-track, some things that we think are going well and some things that aren't going quite so well in the world of NASCAR racing. For you, Joey, what's on track?
You know, we're going to go kind of a back-to-back on-track, off-track because they kind of set each other up. But when you go to a place like Michigan, we often talk about the fuel mileage status of that track. It's been notoriously known for somehow or another always working out to stretch the fuel in the tank, and it really drives crew chiefs crazy. But some crew chiefs enjoy that added benefit. Michigan's also a place that under green or even under yellow, you can pass a lot of people and cars on pit road by either A, staying out, or B, taking gas only, which we saw McMurray and a couple of others do, or B, taking 2 when those guys are taking 4. And you can find, we went from 2nd or 3rd all the way back to 13th because those guys choose to drive a strategy. And that really adds some intrigue to those races. And I think in Michigan and places like that really offer up to where a crew chief gets to shine. It's not just a matter of, okay, my race car's fast, I'm going to go out and have a really good race and pass everybody or take the lead. But it allows the crew chiefs, the pit crews, to be involved with 2 and 4 tires or gas only. And the strategy style of those racing is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. It's not just a race. There's a lot of strategy going on, a lot of notes and calculations going on. And in Michigan, really, we got to see that yesterday.
It's a lot like you see in other sports. If there's a powerhouse team in football or basketball or whatever, a team has to figure out a way to strategize to play to their strengths and against the strengths of this juggernaut team, and you have some mental game going on, some strategy calls that can make it much more interesting. I like it as well.
Yeah, it's almost like, again, we saw it in the NBA years ago, the old hack-a-shack.
Yeah.
Right? Where you took the most dominant player in the league, and how are we going to slow him down and expose his weaknesses? And that's what we saw yesterday. We saw crew chiefs were able to expose the weakness of saying taking 2 versus 4 or 4 versus 2 or staying out and taking fuel. So it was interesting to see that part of that race go on yesterday.
It certainly was. The strategy game's always a lot of fun. For me, on track, I think, is after we talked about last week, the new aero package the XFinity teams were using. They brought it to Michigan as well as previously planned, but it worked much better this time because they didn't have to lift. Last week we talked about at Pocono, it didn't work as well because coming off the turns, the way that track is shaped, the geometry of it, the drivers had to lift, and with a restrictor plate on the motor, it takes so long to get it back up to full speed. At Michigan, they're holding it wide open the whole time, so it worked much more effectively, I thought.
Yeah, let's be honest with ourselves. When we talk about the new restrictor plate package, they're trying to emulate racing that the Truck Series has shown in a draft-style pack at a racetrack. The trucks work so well because when they're drafting, the trucks number 2 and 3 in line actually have to lift as they're following the leader because the drag package is so large that the truck 2 and number 3 in line actually can lift out of the gas and stay going the same speed. Then when they want to make the move, they can pull out of line, step on the gas, and pass.
They've got some more pedal left.
Exactly right. The difficulty that we're having in the Xfinity series is the cars that are running in the draft, cars number 2, 3, and 4, aren't having to lift. So that's where NASCAR really has to work and the race teams have to work to really find the combination of adding more drag or more engine, one or the other. We need to be able to create a drag package that cars number 2 and 3 have to lift to stay in line. If they don't lift, they end up passing the car in front of them. And that's what creates drafting. Years ago when we saw the 70s and early 80s cars, those cars were lifting as they were following in line, and when they wanted to pass, they slingshotted, if you will, as they pulled out of line, had more throttle. The racing at Michigan was definitely better. 100% agree with you. The only issue I had is that at the end of the series of the third stage, it looked a little better than it really was because we had so many caution flags.
They were all jumbled together.
Up.
Yeah.
But we did see the anemic side of that package. Once the cars were able to run 20 laps, 30 laps, they got spread out single file, and the drivers were simply unable to make a move because they were already wide open on the throttle.
All right, now compare that then to what we see at a restrictor plate track, what we traditionally call a restrictor plate track, like a Daytona or a Talladega. You have the same phenomenon there, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But again, we have a completely different package. That's why the speeds are up at Daytona and Talladega, and we actually run a completely different car.
And those motors are built for a restrictor plate race.
Yep.
These that they're doing now are just the regular motors.
Absolutely, and I actually looked into that this weekend. We're about a 20 horsepower difference between a standard restrictor plate motor and taking our motors today and just putting a restrictor plate. Those open motors with a restrictor plate are about 20 horsepower less.
Okay, and so you still have that gap where you're always wide open, and then you need a little bit more to be able to pass. I think it's something that is moving in the right direction. I'm glad they're trying it. I think it does need some more tweaks, and we're going to see it again coming up at Indianapolis. There's also been talk that the Cup guys are going to use it later this year, maybe at Michigan, maybe at Indy, maybe at Kentucky. That has yet to be determined, but that's the buzz right now.
That's the lean, and that's where it's going to go.
All right, let's talk some off track. What grinds your gears this weekend?
So we just talked about on track. If you didn't, you can rewind it. Go check the podcast, MRN.com. You can listen to what I said 5 minutes ago. Strategy at Michigan is awesome. It's a great opportunity for crew chiefs and pit crews to really play into a hand. But in order for the strategy to work, we have to have certain cards that will always trump other cards, okay? If I stay out and I don't do anything to my race car, I should be the weakest car on the field. If a guy takes 2,
if other things are relative,
If a car comes behind me and takes 2 tires and he's lined up behind me, he should have an advantage. If a guy takes 4 over a guy that takes 2, he should have the advantage. Goodyear's agenda, unfortunately, doesn't allow them to provide a tire that offers up to maximize that type of strategy because their agenda is simply to prevent failures.
Right. I mean, that's what they do. They don't want to have a bunch of cars getting wrecked into the wall because the tires are failing.
The conflict of interest that we see from the Goodyear side is that in order to provide a 4-tire advantage over a 2-tire advantage, which has an advantage over no tires, is that tire has to wear out. It has to start losing grip. Whenever you lose grip, you create heat. Whenever you create heat, you have failures. Goodyear cannot, will not, we don't want them having a tire failure. So I understand the conflict of interest. But that's what's unfortunate. We have to work, and we've had tire tests at Michigan, and unfortunately the tire we brought at Michigan really didn't allow that strategy to play out. If I took 4 tires and I was 5th, and I'm lined up behind 3rd, 4th, and 5th that took 2, and they're lined up behind first and second that stayed out. Every one of those cars should have an advantage of the car in front of them.
They should.
And that didn't work out yesterday.
Okay.
We saw cars that stayed out and cars that took 2 that were simply able to dominate cars that took 4.
All right. For me, off track is at the end of the stage on Sunday at Michigan, there was a late caution right before the end of the stage. There was some wrangling back and forth about whether or not pit road was going to open, whether it wasn't. Some guys were counting on that strategy. Kurt Busch is one that comes to mind that was playing a different strategy card like you talked about. Mm-hmm. But when pit road was going to be open, then it wasn't going to be open. We had a one-lap dash to the end of the stage. That kind of got things all convoluted. A lot of drivers seem to be upset about it. What in the world happened there?
You know, we go to these stage races, and one of their main agendas is always wanting to finish the stage under green.
Admirable.
And that's a great idea, great concept. Unfortunately, not every race will dictate and allow you to finish that race under green. Mm-hmm. Yesterday was a prime example. Going down the backstretch, we were kind of 1 to go, pit road was open, and we came around 3 and 4. As you have a long curve, they're starting to calculate what we're going to do, take tires, take no tires, take 2, take 4. And then they closed pit road coming to 1 to go, mm-hmm. which is a very, very unusual.
To get that green dash.
Mm-hmm. And so it was unfortunate that the strategy was changed. We changed the rules right there in the middle, but their goal simply was to finish the race under green, and not everybody.
The stage.
Yeah, and I think Kurt Busch was very eloquent on his radio if you get a chance to listen to that. He was very.
By the way, you can hear that on NASCAR Live Tuesday nights at 7. They have a backtracks feature where they take a lot of the radio calls.
Yeah,
this one has multiple beeps in it.
He's
I'll
very
just say
eloquent.
That.
He was very eloquent and very calm. And
he was not happy.
He was expressing his desire of disagreement.
He was not happy at all. All right, another break here on MRN Motorsports Monday. When we come back, we'll talk some XFinity and truck racing. XFinity teams with the Aero package at Michigan, truck teams on the regular package at Texas. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Are you a serious diecast collector? Do you have a favorite driver? Are you looking for a gift for a race fan? No matter what the question, the answer is always PlanBSales.com. Plan B has all the latest in diecast from Lionel and apparel, artwork, and other items for your favorite driver in NASCAR or other forms of racing. Go to PlanBSales.com, key your driver's name in the handy search window, and look at all the options. Your one stop for diecast and other motorsports collectibles is PlanBSales.com.
Grunt style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
Sauter with about 2 truck lengths in hand. Now Stewart frees and escapes from Justin Haley. Closing on Sauter down the back straightaway. Is it going to be enough?
Here comes Stewart Friesen, trying one last time to see if he can catch Johnny Sauter. Right down onto the white line, both of them go. They've got 3 truck lengths now on Justin Haley. Johnny Sauter has a tailgate full of Stewart Friesen.
A serious run by Friesen off of turn 4. Johnny Sauter throws on the block, and Johnny Sauter wins at Texas Motor Speedway.
This one was a challenge tonight. If you anybody listened to you on the radio, they would know you didn't have the perfect truck. How did you guys pull this off?
Yeah, we just we were off a little bit in the first run, especially our ISM Connect Chevy. I felt pretty good about it yesterday, and then I kept talking about all weekend how the racetrack was racing totally different than it was last fall. So we still got a little bit of work to do, but just so proud of everybody at GMS. Joe made great adjustments on those pit stops, and obviously the call to get track position was key. So yeah, we had our hands full tonight, especially getting into turn 3 on the last lap. It ran out of fuel, and I was like, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden it reignited, and I was like, okay, this is cool. So it's all about that launch on that last restart. I knew the outside groove wasn't the preferred groove, or I felt like it wasn't, and I timed it just right, the restart, and Justin Haley gave me a great push there and got me momentum to keep going, and great night for GMS. 4 wins in 8 races, that's pretty special, and this has been a great year, and we just got to keep her going.
Johnny Sauter does have a big season going on right now. He wins the PPG 400 at Texas Motor Speedway, 4th victory of the year. And as he mentioned, he didn't have the best truck all night, but Johnny knows how to get where he needs to be and knows how to play some strategy and play some games that other guys don't. He had a no tire call there at the end that we were wondering, man, is this going to hurt him? But once he was able to get clean air on the nose, he was able to hang on.
One of the best crew chiefs in the truck series, longevity-wise, with building super fast race trucks and having really, really cool strategies, Joe Shear.
Yeah.
Been in racing since dirt. You know what I mean? Dirt was invented.
He's fun to talk to.
Yes, and he's super, super nice guy, an incredibly competitive guy, spirited, him and Johnny.
And they just click.
Oh, man, Johnny can't win without Joe Shear. You know what I'm saying? It's just
one
of those.
They really click.
Things. He has so much confidence in his crew chief. Not all the time behind the wheel on the track. He questions some of his calls.
In the heat of the moment.
But the Joe Shear makes some incredible calls. It's interesting this year we have a 39-year-old won at Michigan, and we have some old guy win at Texas, but we have the youth movement going on. It's like, where are all these young kids coming from? But all the veterans really pull up, and he held off Stewart-Friesen there at the end. Stewart had clearly a faster truck, and Johnny said
he won the pole.
It was faster because he was running out of gas.
Yeah.
But Stewart should have won that race. And again, the youth movement, you've got Stewart-Friesen, Justin Haley, Grant Enfinger, Todd Gillian, who led most laps and had a really good shot at winning that race and got skirmished there at the end.
Said he got tight on the last 2-tire change, I think.
Yep, and that was the problem. And you can't get tight when you're wide open at Texas, which you are in the trucks for most runs, and you're tight. All you're doing is just scrubbing speed off. And those guys that aren't tight and are a little bit freer can stay in the gas and keep rolling by you, and that's exactly what happened. But what an amazing race at Texas. You saw the young guns early, but then the veteran of Johnny Sauter and his experience was able to hold off Stewart-Friesen. If the situations are reversed, if Stewart-Friesen is leading that race at the end, Johnny Sauter wins on veteran mentality.
Yeah.
And that's what Stewart-Friesen is learning driving behind Johnny Sauter.
For folks who aren't aware, he's got a dirt track background, and he's an ace on the dirt tracks. He has built himself with the alliance that the team has now to get better and better on the asphalt tracks and is making a move there. He comes home in the second spot. Johnny Sauter pads his lead in the truck series. He's up by 77 over Noah Gregson, by 95 over Brett Moffitt, who had a rough night at Texas, and by 96 over Grant Enfinger. Matt Crafton rounds out the top 5, 99 points off the lead. The trucks now head to Iowa this weekend. No cup racing this weekend. You have trucks on Saturday night, XFinity on Sunday. What can we look for from the trucks at Iowa?
Both series there, the trucks and the XFinity series at Iowa. Iowa was designed off of a Richmond-style racetrack and made it a little bit bigger. And some Hall of Fame guy.
What's his name? You can
Russell,
hear him on MRN on the weekends.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace helped design Iowa, but it was in the shadow of Richmond International Raceway, a very nice, flat, D-shaped short track, we consider it. But the place widens out. It's a perfect racing. If you're going to run the shorter groove around the bottom of 1 and 2, you better deal with the bump going over the tunnel. If you're going to go up around the middle lane, you better deal with the longer track. If you're going to go all the way to the wall, you can. That track offers superb racing. Now, that's one of the only tracks that NASCAR owns. They own that track, not the parent company or the other company of ISC. We're going to see a cup race there. We're going to see some activity.
Boy, there's so much talk that the infrastructure just isn't ready for it.
I get it, but the racing track, the track itself, airport right behind it, we're going to see a cup race or some other expanded racing series besides Indy, Xfinity, and truck. But it puts on a great race, whether you're going to watch the trucks on Saturday or the Xfinity on Sunday. Very similar race.
Yeah.
Very similar because it's not a matter of what the body does, and it's a little bit of aero because you're going fast enough. But it really puts on a fantastic 2, 3, possibly 4 wide race. Exiting 4, man, you can get a good run there and get inside of somebody. It's really fantastic racing.
And as we talked about on the Xfinity side, Austin Dillon wins at Michigan with the aero package that we'll see one more time this year at Indianapolis. But Elliott Sadler maintains his lead. He's got 41 points over Cole Custer, who had a strong third-place finish. Daniel Hemrick was second in the Xfinity Series at Michigan now, and they're coming on, I think, close to getting a win as well. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, the rookies, 4th and 5th in the standings on the Xfinity side. They head to Iowa on Sunday as well. And this will be one of those where we won't see, as far as we know right now anyway, any Cup guys in the field.
No, I think the Cup guys are going to take the weekend off, but just a quick replay from Michigan. We saw the package. Austin Dillon really didn't have a great day. He was able to get up there.
He was up there, but he couldn't quite get to the lead.
Exactly right. And then Daniel Hemrick is this close to winning his first race. And once the waterfall, once the dam breaks, he's going to win a whole bunch of races. His teammate was right there in front of him, and he was able to work that draft just a little bit better with experience. And I think that's where the experience
Well, he
came
won the
from.
Daytona 500.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But just an awesome the package with 5 or less, 10 laps less is really good because you simply can't get away from the guy in front of you or the guy behind you. You can't get away from him. It does provide that close-up racing that we're looking to see. Some small balancing issues. I think they're going to work with drag and horsepower potentially as we move forward. But again, we go to Iowa, no cup racing, and again, the youngsters are really taking a place. You got Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell. These guys can't buy beer hardly.
Yeah, and are just now able to rent cars and stuff like that and rent their own hotel rooms. Yeah,
and then again, going to Iowa and being able to showcase their talents. We're going to see. Again, I can see Christopher Bell, a very good short tracker. Ryan Preece ran really good there last year, so it'll be a very good race to see at Iowa.
Should be. And that Xfinity race at Iowa, the Iowa 250 presented by Enogen, is Sunday at 4:30 Eastern Time on the Motor Racing Network. Saturday, the M&M's 200 by Casey's General Store. That's at 6:30 Eastern Time Saturday. You can catch those races right here on the Motor Racing Network, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we continue. All right, one more segment on MRN Motorsports Monday. We're going to talk about what guys are doing during the off week when we come back.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Things happen fast in racing, and if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at NASCAR and other Premier Series events. And the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. NASCAR fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
Imagine getting up early to do your hair, then forgetting to bring it with you. You're watching MRN Motorsports Monday.
Man, I knew I forgot something this morning. I was getting ready, and I got halfway here. I thought, man, I left my hair at home.
My shoe size and my forehead size were given to me at birth. I can't control it.
Can't do anything about that at all.
I'm 50 over years old. I've accepted it. I'm good.
Yeah, why fight it at this point? There's no sense in struggling. All right, as we mentioned, the Cup Series is off this weekend. The Xfinity and Truck Series both head to Iowa Speedway for races Saturday and Sunday. But this brings up the question of what do guys do? We don't get too many off weekends on the Cup side. I mean, I know you get several weeks off when we go to Charlotte.
It's an off
but other
week.
than that, a lot of the Cup guys are going to head off and do some different things, get a little R&R, get away from it all. We talked to the guys from JTG Doherty Racing about what they're going to do with some downtime.
I do a golf trip, so one of the off weekends.
You're still on the road again.
Still on the road again, but no planes. But yeah, just fun to get away with my buddies and just go have a fun golf trip where, on the golf course we make poor decisions in so many ways. But no, just a fun weekend. Try to get away from racing. I'd be lying if I said it's not always in the back of my mind, especially since it's an off weekend going into Sonoma. But just try to have some fun and relax for a weekend.
Not staying at home for the off weekend, but we're gonna go hang out, try and get away from cell service.
So you're still behind the wheel though, on and off weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. We got a couple of Polaris Razors that we go ride. It's not a slow paced ride either. We get after a couple of friends that we go with. We go and we put in a lot of miles in a short period of time.
It's always interesting to me, and a lot of the guys are just like Chris Buescher there from JTG Doherty Racing. When they have some time to get away, what do? They get behind the wheel
That's exactly
somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to take the driving out of those guys' hands on an off weekend. Off weekend for them is really just not about competing. It's about doing the same thing, but without that level of stress of competing. And again, if you run 10th or 15th, there's stress involved because you don't want to run 10th or 15th. You want to run 5th or 10th. And if you run 5th or 10th, you're going to run 1st or 5th. And if you can't run 5th, you know, there's always
want to get a little more.
Unfortunately, the agony of defeat goes from the 2nd place guy to the 40th place guy. And when these guys get an off weekend, they still enjoy doing what they do, but without the stress of the competition.
What about you? What's up for off week? What are you going to do?
You know, I'm a big bowler, so there's a bowling tournament coming up this weekend over on the east side of North Carolina that I'll try to plan on.
Well, I'm going to count on you to bring a trophy back here next Monday then and put it right on the set. Even if it's not a racing trophy.
I'm an above average bowler, but yeah, we have fun.
Or as AJ said, we get on the golf course and make bad decisions.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Don't forget, folks, coming up this weekend, even though there's no cup racing, we do have some racing from Iowa Speedway. On Friday, we've got the Camping World Truck Series, the M&M's 200 by Casey's General Store. That comes your way at 6:30 Eastern Time Saturday. On Sunday, the XFinity Series, the Iowa 250 presented by Enogen. That one is at 4:30 Eastern Time on Sunday. Catch them both right here on the Motor Racing Network. Tuesday, NASCAR Live with Mike Bagley will be on. We'll have an extended interview with Noah Gregson, and Eric Jones will be on that program as well. Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. For now, I'm Woody Kane. He's Joey Meyer. That's Little Joey. We'll see you right back here next Monday for MRN Motorsports Monday.